Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gracefully Graying once again. Check us out on our YouTube channel, search for Gracefully Graying, and also check out our website, gracefullygraying.com. Today, we are very pleased to welcome Eric Peterson, who is the founder of Seniors4Seniors. Hi, Eric. And Seniors4Seniors is an organization, Eric, I'm going to quote your website as connecting the young with the young at heart. So, Eric, tell us about, briefly, before we get into the nitty gritty and the details.
Okay.
We welcome you. We're so glad that you are joining us. Tell us generally about Seniors4Seniors.
Well, we are a nonprofit, 500 nonprofit, and we are actively engaging in the isolation, loneliness, and sometimes depression in individuals, specifically the youth, high school, and senior adults.
Okay. So tell us how you started this organization and why you started it.
Okay. Back in 2018 or so, I was working as a caregiver in the community, and I was actively engaged with these seniors every day. So I got to know them pretty well. And I was seeing daily that they were just depressed or lonely. Although they were engaged with activities that were meant well for them, there were a lot of them, entertainment based. And after they were done engaged in those activities, they're back to their room or their common areas where they'll be at, and they're just seeking for something. And when I was talking to them and being with them, I found that they were missing was purpose and relationships with the family, or just they could be one of the other seniors, but they didn't feel a connection. So I thought, I've got to do something. So, long story short, in 2018, I thought, no, they came to me with, I could connect these high school kids with senior adults that have the same challenges with the teenagers and high school kids who are facing the same situation in high school with social media, to other things they've seen that they perceive to be the grand life, that are seeing the same challenges. So put them together, I thought they could make us better.
Right. So that's interesting that you point out. I mean, that's so prevalent now. Loneliness of seniors and loneliness of high school kids. As you just mentioned,
Yes.
They're looking at everybody's social media and thinking, oh, their life is better than mine, or whatever they may be thinking. But that's really interesting that you point that out, that it's no matter what age. So go ahead and talk about that a little bit more.
Okay. Like, for instance, high school kids are seeing they have some have 5,000 virtual friends, and then they know them in person. Or they may have maybe a friend in high school that's a friend of them, maybe on their liking the page on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily friends in the high school, in the school itself.
Yeah.
Or they're saying, oh, my friends go skiing, and I'm just at home doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's not always, I think a lot of things are superficial on social media. Not all of it is, but some of it is.
Right. And so Seniors4Seniors, I mean, so tell us. So first of all, how do you find your seniors, your adult seniors, and then how do you find your high school seniors?
Or my first one, I'm looking for seniors mostly on LinkedIn. I'm start working on most social media, hopefully pretty soon. Well, we're doing that I'm connecting with a lot of executive directors to company leaders and inviting them about the idea. And what I'm doing, then I have a free program here. And it's easy to use, it's simple to start. Pretty much all we need is a phone number and an active senior that wants to participate, and we'll take it from there.
So when you say, so I know you're based in the Denver area. When you say community leaders, so who would that be? Who would you be reaching out to?
Executive directors of senior communities, to church leaders, to activity leaders, to higher ups like the CEO of the senior living companies themselves, or their vice presidents. Whoever I see someone that I think would possibly listen to me, I send them a letter saying, hey, will you be interested in this program? Please take a look at my website and tell me what you think, and I go from there.
Okay, so you make these great connections with people. Either you know them personally, or you're reaching out via a referral or on LinkedIn, and people are pretty receptive to this, right?
It's been hit and miss. I think a lot of people are accepting my connection.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of senior community leaders right now are so in the moment right now, okay, we're getting over COVID. Vaccines are coming out. What's next? And they don't want to commit to me, tell me yes or no, because they don't want to know exactly what they want to do until they know what's going to happen. I think it's been the biggest challenge because they know they're losing coworkers.
Yeah.
They know they're losing funding. All these different dynamics make it difficult to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we don't know how simple it can be. Is the biggest challenge they don't know. But I want to go across that bridge till they are ready because I don't feel like I'm forcing myself upon them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, during COVID, I mean, this is when seniors need, if they're isolated and they need more socialization than ever right now. So what you're doing is super important. So once you find a senior and you find a senior in high school, well, tell us about how you find the seniors in high school, first of all.
Well, I haven't done much in high school yet, but I was lucky to meet someone on LinkedIn that's going for commissioner. Mm-hmm. And she actually connected with the high school principal she knew in our area. Mm-hmm. And then her daughter went to school. And he actually told his people in suburban going to him about what I was doing. And they actually blasted it out to the school. And then beginning the school, we actually had 30 kids sign up beginning the school year.
That's great.
Program.
Yeah. So, I mean, ideally, you could get this out to any high schools, and they don't necessarily have to be seniors, right? I mean,
no.
Ideally, your target might be juniors. Talk about community service that high school kids, and especially during COVID, I mean, sports are down, activities are down. I mean, this makes this even more meaningful as far as kids getting involved in community service. Go ahead and explain that part of it.
All right. When I first thought that idea, I have a friend that worked at a local high school, and I asked him about that, my idea of how can high school kids with senior adults in this area. And he has told me we require at least 20 hours of service hours to graduate as a senior year.
Right.
And more research my father and I have done, my president, John Peterson, we actually found out some schools require all 4 years of high school with 20 or more hours. Mm-hmm. And this is not just in Colorado, it's in different states as well. So, right. And with this, now that they said the COVID, we're talking virtually right now, this has to be available as well. So virtually this is available anywhere. And what we're restricted by now is time zones and languages.
Right. So once you have a high school senior and a senior adult, how do you figure out how to pair the two? I mean, how do you know what a good match would be?
That's when the magic comes in my program.
Okay, the magic?
Yeah, I'd say magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the connection comes from common interests, of course, but ideally, we want to target focuses on having the youth find a career focus that they're interested in or have interest in, and having connected with a senior that has experience or has done that. Because the seniors have decades of experience. If we have a nurse that's been a retired nurse, mm-hmm. and we have a Lori junior high school wants to be a nurse, that nurse really mentor that student to what it's like to be in that field. And they get validated knowing that I'm telling this youth what I've done in my life. Mm-hmm. And those feelings come back feeling validated and supported and feeling important. And knowing they are supporting this next generation to be next nurse. And until this youth saying, hey, I'm learning what it's really like to be this. Because in Google, you only find so many things about career fields. This person told me, hey.
Yeah, but they can kind of really share the nitty gritty. Like, this is what it's like. Let me tell you my experiences. What do you want to know from this? Let me tell you the pros and cons. So, okay, you gave a good nurse example. Tell us some other examples, some great examples of pairings that you've had.
I said, we don't have any really queer pairing yet. We have one person that's a former FBI, works at FBI still, with a girl that wanted to talk about criminology, if I remember right. And I'm honestly going to tell you what they've talked about yet. I don't know, but no, we have paired them though.
Okay. So obviously this is all virtual right now. And you have guidelines and paperwork that you have to fill out?
We do.
Okay, tell us about that. How does that work?
Our paperwork is pretty much make sure that the person is under 18, a minor, we want the parent's consent. so they know the parents know exactly what they're getting involved in. So for, just make sure the parents know this is a safe program. A safe program to make sure that there's the utmost caliber people are going to be connected. So there won't be anything about threats to violence, to anything that's maybe sexual nature, to anything inappropriately involved. It's to be disconnected. As well as the people reaching out to them that, hey, they say they tried to do this and they found this is not just for me. They had the option saying, you know what, Lori, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this anymore. We've had that happen at least once. And that's no problem. That's their choice. I want to feel like they have to be committed to X amount of time. So I want to do this, and found out later on, oh, I'm stuck here. I want to get out, but how do I get out? There's not
That's the high schooler saying that, or the senior adult?
I think it was a senior adult that said they didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
But is no question, just saying, hey, I'm wearing the black flag and I don't want to do this anymore. They have that option. Right.
But conversely, I mean, talk about relationships that could go on, say a high school junior starts this program and then they go through their senior year and then they're going off to college, say, or working somewhere. I mean, the relationships go past the program, correct?
I would hope it will.
Yeah.
I would hope it will. Because I think if you have a list of anybody you care about, you love them.
Yeah.
You want to keep that. Like my back in my, like I say, Periscope here, I would say have this kid call up and say, hey, Laura, you know what? I'm in Robin. I'm poor. I'm not like my professors. I'm failing.
Yeah.
That scene could tell them, hey, buck up, or hey, I've been there. I've done this before. You can't do this. And then that senior adult could be encouraging to them, saying that I've been there. Because like a parent figure would always say, be encouraging to them to a point, but the parents never really been in their shoes. But the senior adult, that career path, could say, I've been there. And there's light in the tunnel. Keep pursuing what you're doing, and they could give. And sometimes I think the teenagers may be more receptive to listening to that senior adult than the parent figure or aunt and uncle or a family member.
Kind of as a cheerleader. I mean,
Definitely.
If the student, again, it's a great connection on both sides. But if the student needs some mentoring in that respect, then that's just a great connection. And as well as learning about their careers and I would think that seniors also learn a lot from these high school kids. I mean, talk about that. What are they learning? What's that opposite effect?
I think the opposite effect would be zest for life. I think after they're retired and they're seeing that people passing away are dying from COVID or just natural illnesses or life, it can be depressing. But they have this high school kid that's, hey, excited about life, or they're invested in someone else's life to make their life better. I think they're saying, they have something to live for. Like they have a second grandchild, or they've had a grandchild or niece or nephew. They have them now.
Right. And, I mean, okay, let's not hide this, but there are a lot of tech skills, for example, that high school kids have that seniors just don't have. So I would think that, high school kids can really teach seniors a lot. I mean, it works both ways, like we just talked about. Have you found that at all?
We actually know most of them are on phone calls. I think one or two may be virtual.
Oh.
We actually are now working with another company called GenLink in Utah. That's fairly starting out. That will soon work right now, working with them, getting things started. But they actually are nonprofit themselves and working together. They actually working with high school youth, teaching seniors, adults, how to use technology.
Right.
So we're actually going to work together when she finds someone that can use my program, or I get someone who use her program. We're working together to facilitate that program for each other.
Right.
As well as for the senior adults. We have that interest, can engage in that, learn how to use technology.
Right. And I mean, you could implement that from, I'm in Michigan, you're in Colorado, we've got a 2-hour time difference, but, that could happen anywhere in the country, really anywhere in the world. But you also talked about a language barrier sometimes. Talk about that.
We haven't come across that yet, but I've assumed eventually that might be happening because we have different ethnicities and cultures everywhere we live in the United States. We're mixed family. We are. We have Latinos, we have Asian, we have Pacific Islander, we have all kinds of people that make America great.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to say who that's going to come across, but when it does come across, we're hoping to get connect some people with that same ethnicity or the same language. Maybe having me have a student want to learn Spanish, and there's something that she may know from the United States, may know Spanish and English, might be able to help them out as well as queer.
Right? Like almost virtual language lessons. That'd be awesome. So how has COVID affected the way your organization has worked? I mean, were they getting together in person locally before this? Tell us about that.
All right. We actually were approved Christmas Eve prior to the COVID of the lockdowns.
Okay.
Because our first part of the company was face-to-face interactions. Because in my community I worked at, we used to have high school kids that worked there, as well as some of the kids that volunteered, came in our communities and spent time with the seniors.
Oh, they actually went into the senior living communities.
Yeah, some of the time helped with the bingo, some of the helped with different activities every now and then. But after the COVID happened, our first reaction was, oh my goodness, what are we going to do?
Right.
And then the idea came virtually, opened a whole new chapter to us. To that, what we do now, this can be virtually done. So I say, what came to be at first to be an intimate media on concern was actually a blessing in disguise. We actually were able to expound not just face-to-face interactions, but virtually or over the telephone.
Right. Or even if they're both local, I mean, after COVID, and I'm not sure when this is going to be, nobody really knows, but, they could go to the botanic gardens. They could, go on outings together. I mean, obviously, you have guidelines and permissions and all of that, but I mean, that would be great too, right?
Yeah, we actually have the Christmas time. We actually had a friend of ours that signed up for a program, was delivering cookies, and I said, hey, how things going with her connection? And she just said, I was in by her house. She dropped her off cookies. And she just came by my house last week, gave me some cookies. I remember right. And thinking, that's not what I expected that to happen. Yeah. But having that, that they were feeling that love for each other, they want to do that, makes it beyond just the virtual, which is great. Right.
Yeah. So I suppose, you could build this so that there are local connections, say you facilitate connections with people in our area. I get the world is, I'm sure that you guys could implement that in the future. Tell us, who is Jason Powell? And he is a Distinguished Fellow of Seniors4Seniors. So who is he and what is his role with Seniors4Seniors?
Okay, so my father wanted to talk about that as well. Just 1 second, okay?
Oh, sure. So here comes John. Hi, John.
Hello, Lori.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I had asked Eric about who Jason Powell is, and he's a Distinguished Fellow. And you're going to tell us about him and why he's a part of your organization.
Well, at one point, we asked that same question, Lori, who's Jason Powell? Because we all of a sudden, we had this gentleman reaching out to us that wanted to participate and support our program. And so I actually did some research and learned that he has an extraordinary background. He's a professor. He's been a professor of gerontology. He got his PhD in social gerontology. He's written 80 books. He's been cited in thousands of articles. He's been a consultant to countries on the subject of gerontology and the European Union. Okay. And he wanted to be part of us. So frankly,
he lives in England, correct?
He lives in England, in the Midlands.
Okay. That's really interesting. So what will his role be, as a Distinguished Fellow? Explain that.
Well, his role's actually expanded a little bit since that video was produced. That's on our website that you may have seen.
Mhm.
We actually have him as a member of our board now and acting in a vice president position. It's not a paid position because that doesn't happen with us, but it's a position where he's an advisor to us and making connections that we wouldn't be able to make otherwise. So Eric mentioned the idea the only limitations are time zones and
Right.
language. Language is not too much of an issue when we're speaking to people in England,
Right.
but he can help us establish some connections over there. And so we expect that he'll be able to help us expand this beyond our borders when we're ready to do that.
That's great. So give us an example of a connection.
Well, the connections right now, you're talking about in England, is that what you mean?
Yeah, sure. Anywhere. Like what would be beneficial to you?
Okay, so the types of connections that would be of benefit to us are people that can help us reach out and involve seniors and students in our organization and get them serving each other. That's really our whole focus. And COVID has created some roadblocks that's made that difficult for us. But at the same time, we're moving forward, and so the connections we're looking for are people that know lonely seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the first thing that we're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Through the school districts, we believe we have a good start. And frankly, just with our local school district, if we expand it to the other high schools, we'd have over 200 participants based upon the reaction from the one high school we're working with now.
Right.
But the seniors have been the most difficult challenge for us currently as far as getting them involved because they just don't know about us and they're somewhat isolated from us.
Right, right. Which is even more prevalent right now.
Absolutely. And they need it more than ever.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of a supply and demand. I mean, there seems to be, I'm sure there's a great demand for what you do. And, a lot of people that would want to participate. Again, a lot of kids that want to participate. So it's kind of getting the word out. And people can find you, I know, on social media, on your website. Help us with that.
Okay, the best source for the information itself is our website, www.seniors4seniors.org.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not only is there information about the program and get some perspective on what it is, there's some videos that I think are helpful. And there's also just the ability to click and get started with the program.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
this is particularly useful for the students and also family members of seniors who they know their parents are struggling with this isolation and loneliness. And so they can get the information there and facilitate the connection as well.
Right.
And we have connections on Facebook and linked pages on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, we need to keep expanding that and expanding our presence there.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you're looking for more fellows, more people that have connections and more, just to get the word out. It's super important. So what advice can you or Eric give to high school seniors or senior adults right now?
I think it's very general, but reach out.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because there's this corresponding need and ability that we have. We need these social interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with COVID now more than ever, there's limited social interactions for the students and the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, we have the ability to give. So the magic, as Eric referred to it, mm-hmm. is that as we serve each other, our lives are enriched.
Mm-hmm.
We lift each other. We feel good about it at the end of it. And mm-hmm. lots of times that's all we really need each day, isn't it?
Yeah.
To come out of an interaction and feeling good about what we did as far as maybe helping mentor a high school youth or the student going ahead and saying, wow, that was a fantastic interaction with my new friend.
Right. That they may not have ever had before. I mean,
well, and Eric mentioned the family relationships. Those are very important but the families of these seniors are really busy too.
Yeah.
And, so they could do a great job interacting with the seniors, but typically the seniors still have additional capacity. And typically those seniors aren't mentoring their grandchildren in a career. And one of the things that's really important, I believe, is for us to be able to tap into the potential the seniors have to offer us. They have so much experience to draw from and share with us. And as they do that, that feeling of fulfillment that they had while they were working in their careers comes out again. And they're saying, yeah, I'm really doing something useful here. I'm giving back to my community.
Right.
I think that's an important aspect of what we're facilitating.
Right. And it's, maybe teaching kids, and hearing from a senior who's been in the business world, been in the entrepreneurial world, whatever career they might have had, and careers are different now maybe than they were 30, 40, 50 years ago. But, but that's okay. I mean, just sharing, how to talk to people, how to communicate with people, what tools are good. And obviously, as Eric and I were saying, the adverse effect, not adverse, but the opposite of, the tech skills that the kids have that the seniors maybe don't have. So it kind of works both ways, enhancing each other.
Well, and one of the things that benefits these students too is the opportunity to have social interaction. The social media that they participate in is a great way to make connections, but it's not the same as we prefer the face-to-face, but now virtual or phone interactions where they're live socialization. And this is an important piece that's missing from a lot of the lives of our youth. And so any times that they can do that, and then those youth learn skills from our system because we put the responsibility for doing the scheduling and the coordinating in their hands. So they're learning some skills that will help them further later on in life in regards to those areas too.
Right. Oh yeah, that's important. Yeah. So guess what? We've run out of time. I know this went by quickly, and I'm glad that you hopped on as well as Eric so that we could, our viewers could meet both of you. Does Eric want to get in the screen again to say, is he still in the room?
He's right next to me. I'm going to actually hand it back to him real quickly to wrap it up.
Great. All right. Hi, Eric. So we've run out of time. That's been,
right.
Yeah, but thanks for sharing all that with us. I think it's a great program. I know that Gracefully Graying really wants to help get the word out, no matter where people live. It's such an important thing. And just what are your final thoughts?
Well, thank you to you and your team for having us on here. Is more than a blessing. Maybe to the seniors and their adults out there thinking about this.
Yeah.
Maybe on the edge saying, do I want to do this? Not. Like I said before, if you think you want to do it, try it. If you don't want to do it, after and try out.
Yeah.
Throw the right flag out. It's a win-lose or a win-win situation for you.
Yeah, that's great advice for anything, really, right?
Yeah, jump in, and if you like it, it's nice warm water. If not, jump out if it's cold.
Right.
It's no hard feelings either way.
Yeah, and hopefully lasting relationships will come out of it. So that's great.
Hope so too.
So Eric, we thank you guys for joining us on Gracefully Graying, and to our Gracefully Graying audience, again, you check out all of our interviews on YouTube by searching Gracefully Graying, and also check out our huge hub of resources on gracefullygraying.com. So thank you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.